Have you ever looked down into the toilet bowl and noticed something that looks like egg whites, jelly, or even phlegm wrapped around your stool? Or maybe you've noticed this strange, clear, or yellowish gel-like substance on the toilet paper, or even in your underwear without having a bowel movement at all. If you have, you probably felt an immediate wave of panic. Let's be honest, it's not exactly the kind of thing you want to bring up at the dinner table, and it can be a really uncomfortable topic to talk about. But today we are going to talk about it openly because it is an incredibly common bodily function that needs to be understood. Seeing a little bit of mucus once in a blue moon might be completely normal. But if you are noticing this happening on a regular basis, your body is trying to send you a message. The gut has a unique way of communicating when something is off, and excess mucus is one of its loudest warning signs. In this video, we are going to break down exactly what this means. We will walk through everything, starting from the most common, completely harmless causes related to your lifestyle, all the way to the serious medical red flags that you absolutely cannot afford to ignore. Before we jump into the reasons why you might be seeing this, let's take a quick step back and talk about what mucus actually is and why it is in your digestive tract in the first place. When people hear the word mucus, they usually think about catching a cold and blowing their nose. But the reality is, your entire digestive tract, from top to bottom, is lined with a mucous membrane. Just like the inside of your nose, your intestines naturally and constantly produce mucus. So why is it there? Normal mucus serves two massive purposes in your gut. First, it acts as a biological lubricant. It coats the lining of your intestines so that waste can slide through smoothly and easily without causing friction or damage. Second, it acts as a crucial protective barrier. Your digestive system is full of harsh stomach acids, digestive enzymes, and billions of bacteria. Mucus acts like a shield, protecting the delicate walls of your colon from being irritated or damaged by all of that intense activity. Under normal, healthy conditions, this mucus is microscopic. It is mixed in with your stool, doing its job completely under the radar, and you will never even see it. The shift happens when this mucus becomes macroscopic, meaning you can actually see it with your naked eye. When you can clearly see a thick, jelly-like substance, it usually means your gut is irritated. The intestines are incredibly smart, and when they detect inflammation, an infection, or an injury, their immediate defense mechanism is to kick mucus production into overdrive to protect themselves. So, seeing it is just a sign that your gut's defense system has been activated. Let's start by looking at the most common, everyday triggers for excess mucus, beginning with what you put into your body. Food intolerances are a massive culprit here. If you are consistently eating things that your body simply cannot process well, such as lactose from dairy products or gluten, your digestive system treats that food almost like an invader. The delicate lining of your intestine becomes irritated and inflamed by these difficult-to-digest foods. In response, the gut starts weeping excess mucus, essentially trying to soothe the irritation and flush the offending food out of your system more quickly. It is also worth noting that it isn't just food. Certain daily medications can significantly alter your natural bowel habits, changing the internal environment of your gut and triggering that exact same mucus defense response. But what if your diet is perfectly clean and you aren't taking any new medications? This brings us to one of the most frequent functional causes, irritable bowel syndrome, commonly known as IBS. Specifically, the type of IBS that is dominated by diarrhea. IBS is a fascinating condition because if we were to look inside your colon, the tissue itself would look perfectly healthy. There is no visible disease, no ulcers, and no structural damage. Yet the gut is incredibly sensitive and highly reactive. To understand why IBS causes mucus, we have to look at the powerful gut-brain connection. When you are stressed, overly anxious, or carrying a lot of mental tension, your brain releases stress hormones like adrenaline. Your gut, which is lined with millions of sensitive nerve endings, picks up on this chemical shift immediately. This stress causes your intestines to go into a state of overdrive, spasming and contracting erratically. This intense, hyperactive movement not only causes sharp abdominal pain and frequent bouts of diarrhea, but the physical stress of those spasms forces the bowel wall to release a significant amount of mucus. So if you are going through a highly stressful period in your life and suddenly notice that jelly-like substance in the toilet, your anxiety might literally be manifesting right there in your digestive tract. And if you are constantly dealing with this kind of gut irritation, feeling bloated, sluggish, or struggling to empty your bowels no matter what you try, there is something fascinating you need to see. Thousands of people are currently using a strange 8,000-year-old underwater gut superfood to completely soothe their gut and restart their digestion. By adding just 1 pinch of this to your routine, it actually helps your body flush out up to 10 pounds of toxic buildup that is clogging your intestines. It allows you to empty your bowels twice as fast, even if you eat zero fiber, and it requires no restrictive diets, expensive probiotics, or medications. To see exactly how this works, just point your phone's camera right now at the QR code flashing on the screen, or tap the special link I have pinned at the very top of the comments section below. It is completely changing the game for digestive health. Now let's talk about something that makes a lot of people squirm, but is actually a very frequent cause of mucus in your stool: unwelcome guests in your digestive system. We are talking about intestinal parasites, worms, and bacterial infections. It might sound like something you only get when traveling to exotic locations, but the truth is, picking up a parasite like Giardia, Entamoeba, or even a tapeworm is much more common than you might think, regardless of where you live. When these microscopic invaders set up camp in your intestinal tract, they don't just sit there quietly. They attach to the walls of your intestines, which severely irritates that delicate tissue. Just like we talked about earlier, your gut's primary defense mechanism against any kind of irritation or attack is to produce mucus. In the case of a parasitic or bacterial infection, your body starts pumping out large amounts of thick mucus in a desperate attempt to create a slippery barrier, protect the intestinal walls from further damage, and ideally, flush those invaders right out of your system. If you are seeing a lot of mucus and you haven't done a routine parasite cleanse in a year or two, this is a highly likely culprit. The good news here is that while it sounds alarming, it is usually one of the easiest problems to solve. For many people, a simple standard course of anti-parasitic medication is all it takes. Once the parasites or worms are cleared out, the irritation stops, the gut lining heals, and that jelly-like excess mucus completely disappears. It is a very simple fix for what can look like a very scary symptom. Moving further down the digestive tract, we have to look at structural issues located right near the very end of the line: the rectum and the anal canal. Sometimes the problem isn't what you are eating, your stress levels, or a hidden infection. Instead, it is a physical, mechanical issue. One of the most common physical causes of excess mucus is advanced internal hemorrhoids. We aren't talking about a mild occasional flare-up here. We are talking about 3rd or 4th degree internal hemorrhoids. These are hemorrhoids that have become so enlarged that they actually protrude out of the anal canal. Because they are made of that same mucus-producing tissue that lines the inside of your gut, when they are exposed and irritated, they constantly secrete mucus. This mucus can end up coating your stool as it passes, or very often it can leak out on its own, leaving that clear or yellowish gel in your underwear even when you haven't used the bathroom. Another structural issue that frequently causes this is something called mucosal prolapse. This happens when the actual lining of the rectum loses its internal support and begins to slip or drop down toward the anal opening. This particular condition is especially common in women. When that delicate rectal lining drops out of its normal position, it is subjected to constant friction and physical stress. And as we know by now, an irritated gut lining immediately responds by weeping mucus. Many people worry that this symptom is coming from a dangerous disease deep inside their colon, when in reality, the issue might simply be a structural problem sitting right at the very exit. Now we need to transition and talk about the more serious medical conditions. These are the red flags, and it is crucial to be aware of them without letting fear take over. First on this list are inflammatory bowel diseases, such as ulcerative colitis or proctitis. Unlike a temporary food intolerance, these are chronic conditions where the immune system mistakenly attacks the lining of the large intestine or the rectum. This causes deep, persistent inflammation and even painful ulcers. To try and heal and protect against this chronic internal damage, the gut produces a massive amount of mucus, which is often accompanied by significant abdominal cramping and an urgent need to use the bathroom. Next, we have to talk about colon polyps. A polyp is essentially an abnormal growth of tissue on the inner lining of your large intestine. Small polyps are very common, and they generally do not produce any mucus or symptoms at all. However, as a polyp grows larger, it can start secreting this clear, jelly-like substance into your stool. This is an incredibly important warning sign because large polyps are known precursors to colorectal cancer. Finding a large polyp because it is producing mucus and having it safely removed literally stops cancer in its tracks before it even has the chance to truly develop. This naturally brings us to the most serious potential cause, colorectal cancer itself. Yes, it is true that an excess of mucus can be a symptom of a malignant tumor in the bowel. But listen closely, you should absolutely not jump to the worst-case scenario and assume you have cancer just because you see mucus in the toilet bowl. As we have already covered, there are many benign, easily fixable reasons for this to happen. However, because cancer is on the list of possibilities, it is exactly why we never simply ignore this symptom. We investigate to definitively rule it out. If there is one ultimate red flag you must never ignore, it is mucus mixed with blood. Whether you see bright red streaks or dark, tarry blood blended into that gel-like substance, that is an undeniable signal from your body that requires immediate medical evaluation. So, what should your action plan be if you are dealing with this? First, take a calm, objective look at your daily habits. Are you highly stressed? Are you eating foods that upset your stomach? Has it been years since you've taken a routine anti-parasitic medication? Tracking your symptoms, what you eat, and how you feel can provide incredible clues. However, let me be very clear. You cannot and should not try to diagnose the root cause of persistent mucus at home. If you are consistently seeing visible mucus in your stool or in your underwear, you must make an appointment to see a doctor. To truly understand what is happening inside your gut, the absolute gold standard is a colonoscopy. It is the only way to get a clear, high-definition look at your entire large intestine. A colonoscopy allows a doctor to find the exact source of the irritation, immediately remove any potentially dangerous polyps, completely rule out cancer, and ultimately give you total peace of mind. The most important takeaway today is this: do not panic, but do not ignore it. The vast majority of causes for mucus in your poop are highly treatable and in many cases easily fixed. Listen to what your body is trying to tell you and take the step to get it checked out properly. If you found this breakdown helpful and it gave you a better understanding of your gut health, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on future health insights. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.